Hi everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to talk about Tesla. We don't normally do too many Tesla videos because obviously the big kind of YouTubers all cover that stock and obviously they get all the Tesla attention. So this is normally, whenever I talk about Tesla, it's actually normally a really poorly viewed video, but I thought we'll talk about it because obviously on YouTube we don't want it to turn into a bit of an echo chamber. We don't want everyone kind of hyping up Tesla, and that's what I've always tried to do with Tesla. I personally, for me, I'm sure most of you guys are aware, I've been a shareholder of Tesla 3 times actually. First came a shareholder in 2018, 2019, made an absolute killing on the stock. Bought it again when it had the dip in 2021, made another 100% return on it. And I actually bought during this dip and I made around about 25%. Probably should have held that one a little bit longer, but it is what it is. So I am actually quite a bull on Tesla and long term, because people think I make these videos, they think I'm quite negative on Tesla. I'm not. I'm bullish on Tesla, I'm bullish on EV, I'm bullish on Tesla on the long term. But what I like to do is break this echo chamber that sometimes goes on with Tesla, and I tell you how it is. And today's one of those videos for me telling you that I think they made a few mistakes here. Now don't get me wrong, if Tesla drops to $130 in the next 3 or 4 months, I'll buy it. But for me, that prices in a lot of the kind of mistakes that I've seen Tesla make in the last couple of months. Because I think Tesla have made a couple of mistakes in the last few months. And I don't want to be another YouTuber that kind of says the whole thing of Tesla's going to the moon all the time. You know, there was a lot of YouTubers that were saying that in 2021. When the stock was $284, there was the likes of Meet Kevin, for example. There was a lot of other YouTubers, the big YouTubers, that were saying, you can still buy it now, you're still going to make a killing in the next few years. And if you did listen to them, then you realised it in on a stock that is a dead stock for 3 years, a stock that's not done anything. And I was saying the same thing only a few months ago, saying they've got issues, you know, a few people saying, you know, just buy the Tesla shares that are out there. And I was going, be careful, you know, they're doing these price cuts, it's going to hit the profitability. When you're trading at 77 times earnings, if you're not growing profitability, that's not going to attract investors. And I remember I got a lot of stick on that when I made that video not too long ago, telling that Tesla's going to have problems here, and I got a lot of stick about it, saying there's going to be issues. And you know, there we go. The stock is once again, it's had a dead the last couple of months. It's had a dead kind of 3 years. The only time you're making money on Tesla is if you've been buying in these dips and you did get a low valuation and you did take advantage in the dips. But then realistically, you've only had about a month to build up your position. And it does make me laugh because on the YouTube scene, it's one of those that you'll always get criticised for the ones that get it wrong. You make 3 or 4 bad calls on the YouTube scene, I tell you, people will be bringing them up in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years time. That, oh, do you remember back in 2020, so-and-so, you said that so-and-so was this and it went the other way. Like, people will remind you a lot about the kind of calls that you make where you get them wrong. And whatever that will be, if you get 10% of calls wrong, 20% of calls wrong, 30% of calls wrong, it doesn't matter if you've got a good track record. People will always remind you about the ones you got wrong. And then once again, I have no one remind me about the amount of times that I've called Tesla right. You know, no one reminds you about that. And it's same like Lemonade as well. This actually came up on the Patreon. We did an exclusive video on Patreon yesterday, and Lemonade came up, and I was thinking, I remember when this stock was over a 10 billion market cap company, and everyone was going, oh, Lemonade, it's the next thing, it's going to disrupt the insurance sector. And I was a bit like, I don't know. I won't get too excited about it. And I made that video about 3 years ago. And this was in, you know, when we had hype valuations and everything went up, and it didn't matter if you had a bad balance sheet. It didn't matter if you were an unprofitable company. I made a video saying that I personally wouldn't buy Lemonade right now. And, you know, since that time frame 3 years ago, I saved anyone, you know, making a big, massive loss on that Lemonade stock. And, you know, how many times I've been reminded about that? Well, none. So it's just funny how that always works out. But anyway, we're going in circles here. Tesla, let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla at the moment, in my opinion, is a stock that might do very well in the next kind of 5, 6, 7 years. I think in the next, as I've said a few months ago, in the short term, I think this stock has a lot of issues going on. I mean, I'm sure you saw it. There was an interview the other day where Elon Musk had, and he went on a major rant about advertising companies. And yeah, I mean, I understand his point. I respect someone that will say their opinion, but you've got to be careful. When you're a CEO of a major company, you've got to be careful not to go too far past the line. You can say like, oh, we don't need them, we don't want those advertisers. But there's a point of view where you've got to not burn your bridges too much. And burn your reputation where there's like big institutions that are now looking at Tesla and going, you know, Elon Musk in charge, could he potentially go do something a little bit crazy that might hurt the stock? You don't want to be in that sort of position. So I appreciate someone that does tell the truth and speaks the mind, but there's a point of view where you've just got to PG it a little bit, and Elon didn't PG it. It went rated R straight away. So yeah, just be careful about that. I think is definitely something to be careful of. But obviously the big thing is the Cybertruck, and once again, I feel like they've once again shot themselves in the foot with the Cybertruck. From an appearance point of view, I mean, it's Marmite, isn't it? You either love it or you hate it, and it's a big mix. Like you're talking, it's about 50-50 split of people that like it and hate it. And I don't think you want to be in that position. I don't think you should be in that position when you're entering a big category, a category that could generate you the next 5 years of major profit and revenue growth. I don't think you should be doing Marmite. I think you should be creating something that 80% of people love. And that's where the issue is. I think that's where the big issue is with Tesla, what they've done with this Cybertruck, is that it's very 50-50. And I feel like the big people this will appeal to the most are the younger generation. You know, if you start talking to like the ages of 10 to 30, now the problem with the ages to 10 to 30 is that 10 to 20 you can't drive, so that rules them out. The other issue that you have is that the 20 to 30 year old category, which I think would appeal the most to, is that realistically a lot of those people, they don't have the money to go buy this, which is the next issue. So the audience that you've designed this to, I don't think can massively afford this. And I feel like when you look at something like the Model 3, the Model X, everyone looks at them and go, if you see a Model X, you're like, it's a good looking car. You look at the Model 3, good looking car. Appeals to most people. This Cybertruck, I think they made a big mess up. I feel like if they came in, and we saw some of the prototypes a long time ago, but if they came with a model that's like the Ford Raptor, for example, and looked a bit like this, I mean, look at this. This is a thing of beauty, isn't it? You know, you look at the Ford Raptor, and you can't tell me that doesn't look good. And if Tesla went with this sort of style, that would have been a major revenue and profit driver for many years. People would actually look at that and go, oh, if I could get that Ford Raptor with the speed element, a bigger range, you know, I think people would be more attracted to that. And I feel like they've really missed the trick with the pickup truck, which is disappointing. Now, the big thing that then surprised me is some of the things that were in, or the updated specs and prices of this. I mean, 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Yeah, that's great. But further down the line, I think that obviously the prices have gone up a little bit. So the rear wheel starts at $59,000 and will be available in 2025. And so you get a 250 mile range. I mean, I don't know. I think that, you know, 2025 is a long time to ramp up. You know, when you look at the range, 250 miles, I know pickups are going to have lower ranges, but did we expect something a bit better from Tesla? I don't know. I would expect it, you know, maybe a lot higher range than that. The all-wheel drive is up to 70,000 and starts in 2024. Same again. The 0 to 60 is actually 4.1 with that one, and top speed of 112 miles per hour. Is that a little bit disappointing? I don't know. And same with this, you know, the Cyber Beast, that's up to 100k. I mean, as well as that, you know, if that's the one you're delivering, and the problem is, you know, high interest rate environment. Once again, you know, this is going to be a nightmare to sell in this high interest rate environment, which once again adds to the headwinds of Tesla at the moment. You know, 320 mile range, could that be a little bit higher? Top speed of 130, could that be a little bit higher? I don't know. I'm just looking at all this and thinking, you know, all these things that they've added in to the Tesla Cybertruck. I mean, like the big thing is like bulletproof. I mean, realistically, yeah, it's cool going, oh, my car's bulletproof, but if rather than focusing on that, if that would have maybe made the vehicle, you know, a lot cheaper, if that would have helped potentially with a weight side of it and would have got you a bigger range, you would have added another 40 miles onto the range or something. Rather than focusing on them little cool things and going, yeah, I've got a bulletproof car, wouldn't it have been better to actually focus on the specs here? I just thought like it was a little underwhelming for Tesla standards, and I think they've took a massive risk with the design here as well. So yeah, to say this is supposed to be the growth driver for the next 4 or 5 years, I don't know how this is going to sell. And that's a big worry. If you tell me that the pickup truck was a bit more like the Ford Raptor, for example, and a better price, maybe a bit of better range, I'd have been like, that's Tesla sort of for the next 4 or 5 years. But I'm looking at this going, that sort of prices in a high interest rate environment with that risky of a design and them specs, I don't know. I think once again you're looking at Tesla thinking it's obviously been dead for years for the stock, but realistically now that's another kind of unknown added on to the side of it. And ultimately, once you look at the stock, it's 77 times earnings, but you look at the EPS, the average estimate for this year is 2.86. A year ago it was 4.07. Next year, is it forecast to increase with 20% growth? I don't know. I don't know if it could get much better at the moment. And I think that once again, you start looking at these numbers, I think there could be a bit of a downgrade here. And once again, I think when analysts start, forecasting that if the profitability isn't going to grow that much, the downgrades start coming. Don't forget, this year we were supposed to grow 40%. Tesla was supposed to grow 40% this year, and it's now at 8%. So don't think these downgrades can't happen. And once again, you start looking at 20% and this EPS growth. I don't know. I think there's a big risk to Tesla at the moment at these sort of levels. I could be proven wrong. It could be it could go mega. It could go mega and people buy it, and the Cybertruck is a big success. But for me, I'd be looking at Tesla with all these issues going on at the moment and the risks they're taking. And then I'm looking that you're paying 77 times earnings up for this company, and I'm looking at growth and thinking, we've already seen them last year. The EPS was supposed to grow last year, or this year, and it's down at 286. We're supposed to grow 40% this year, and we're down at 8. And I look at these forecasts this year, and I think I could easily see another dead year for Tesla. I could easily see it on the share price, and I think that's a bit of an issue at the moment for Tesla. And don't get me wrong, if you throw Tesla at $100, I can then I could justify this risk here. But when I look at Tesla at the moment, all I see is another year of this stock being a bit stagnant because it's had so much demand pulled forward, or so much valuation pulled forward on that share price, that I think it's just a little high at the moment. So yeah, I think it's in a tricky place. And once again, I don't want to fall in the kind of echo chamber of YouTube where everyone goes, buy Tesla at any valuation, you'll do well on it, because as we've seen in the last kind of few years, that doesn't work out. And I'm seeing, once again, a few little issues here with this one. So, hope you enjoyed the video anyway, guys. See you in a bit.